So we got the first round of games. Well, not the first round, but we got all the game ones out of the way over the weekend, and I want to recap some of them, starting with the Golden State and the Rockets game, because that was the latest one that we had. It just ended late night tonight. Some of y'all see this in the morning, but it was a good game, right? It had a whole bunch of momentum swings. Golden State got ahead of them very early, pushed the lead up into double digits, almost close to 20 point lead. And then the Rockets came roaring back and made it interesting. But then Golden State, like the veteran team they are, in the fourth quarter was able to close it out and get a double digit win. So they're up 1-0 in that series. And it's pretty much an upset because it's a 7 seed facing a number 2 seed, even though it's only 4 wins that separate them two. Uh, I thought it was interesting. I seen some things in the game that I would kind of wanted to point out from watching it, not just from the stat sheet, but it's things on the stat sheet that jump out as well. Mainly the rebounding. Golden State got out rebounded by 16 rebounds, and that was all offensive rebounds. There was dead even at 36 rebounds defensively, but offensively, the Rockets had 22 rebounds to the Warriors just 6 rebounds. Right, so I think that was very interesting. But you could see that coming in because the Golden State Warriors play with a lineup of Draymond Green at 6'6", playing the 5, playing the center position. And then so that means they're playing Butler at 6'7" at the 4, and then Moses Moody at the 3, and then Steph Curry and Pod at the Podminsky, if I'm saying this name right. Let me see if I'm saying his name right. Podzim, Pod, Podzimski at the backcourts with Steph Curry, right? It's crazy how Jonathan Kuminga is just not even in the lineup no more. I mean, we didn't see him at all. They play very small, and now Kuminga's not in the lineup no more. They're playing Moody, they're playing Pod, they're playing the rookie Post a little bit, and Loney's minutes has dropped as well. So they really are um, set on that small ball, which is interesting, especially in playoff basketball, because you lose the rebounding edge in the playoffs, and if you're getting beat down low in the paint, that usually spells bad news for your team if you're getting out rebounded by that much. So I don't understand how Kerr gets away with it. I kind of do understand how Kerr gets away with it, but he gets away with playing these very small lineups with Draymond at the 5, and Draymond is a very good defender. But I mean, how do you get away with having 7 footers and 6'11" guys all in the lineup, rebounding you by 16, and they getting offensive rebounds, and they're not converting them into major points and making you pay for playing that small ball lineup? And that's when the observation comes in. From watching this game, and I know it's the playoffs, and I know that physicality is up a couple of notches from what the regular season is. So I expect that, right? But I don't expect for a team to come in with a size advantage, and then the way the referees ref the game neutralizes their advantage. And what I mean by that is when the Rockets played Steven Adams and Sangoon together, they just they're just too big down low. Now I know Steven Adams is not a huge offensive guy down low or in the post, but Sangoon is, right? And I expect when Sangoon gets the ball in the paint that he able to make them pay when they're having those small lineups out there. Sometimes they get switched, and Draymond end up on someone else, and now you got Moody guarding Sangoon or Butler guarding Sangoon, or sometimes even Pod is guarding Sangoon. And when he gets the ball in the post, the way they're allowing them to defend him, he can't even use the size advantage. Like they'll if he tries to take a dribble, they're allowing them to reach, grab, pull, push as much as they want to, right? And when a smaller guy is doing that to you, they used to do it to Shaquille O'Neal a lot, because pretty much everyone that guarded him was smaller. right? And Phil Jackson used to complain so much about how much they get away with on Shaq. But quite frankly speaking, if they called everything on Shaq, we wouldn't be able to have a real game. Like when you play Shaq, he had such a size advantage, and he knew how to use it. That if you called everything on Shaq, there would be no competition. He would just you would have to double him every single time he touched the ball. Like it would like it wasn't nothing you would be able to do. That's how huge he was and strong. So they let them get away with a lot on Shaq, right? And you couldn't even notice it. Like when a smaller guy is pushing you and you're barely moving, or whatever the case may be, you can't even really notice that you're getting fouled tremendously. Well, I noticed what they was doing in Golden State. Every time they got the ball in the paint, whether it was an offensive rebound or a post, two guys would come in and they would just reach, like grab arm. They're not even getting ball. They're grabbing arm, hand, jersey, whatever the case may be, and they called that defense. And that's what they allowed. Now, is it fair or is it equal? Um, I guess you can say it's fair because I guess they was calling it both ways. But here's why it wasn't equal. Because the Golden State Warriors don't play in the paint. And they wasn't grabbing a lot of offensive rebounds. So you never got a chance to see them grab a rebound and see if the referees was going to allow them to be held and prevent them from going up and for a putback, right? Everything they did was on the perimeter with dribble drive, and they just wanted grabbing a lot of offensive rebounds. So I thought that was interesting. But just getting back to the basketball and not speaking about the refs and how they called the game. I mean, you had two guys show up for Golden State. 31 from Steph hitting big buckets, and Jimmy Butler also 25, and he hit big buckets. Right, they both took 19 shots. So they had two people show up, and the Rockets only had one person show up, which was Sengun. He had 26 points, 9 rebounds, had a lot of turnovers. He had 5 turnovers. Jimmy Butler had 5 steals, right? Those came from whenever the ball got in the paint, they were grabbing their arms. Like, who they were absolutely grabbing their arms, right? Jabari Smith Jr., 4 turnovers, another big guy. So the guys who was most of the turnovers was coming from the big guys. So the guys in the paint, that's where the doubles and the hand grabs and the arm grabs was coming at, and they was allowing it. So I just think it's interesting that I like physical play. I just don't like them to allow hand grabs and arm grabs, like grabbing my arm and swiping at my arm, and like, come on, you can't allow that. But Udoka and the Rockets, they're not gonna complain about it because they understand that this is the nature of the NBA. This is business. They didn't say anything about it at the podium. They just got to play through it. And quite frankly, this is what Boston did when they swept Brooklyn when they had Kyrie and KD. They did the same exact thing. The doubles was there, the hand grabs, the physical. It was, it's just about if the officiating is going to allow your team to do that. And now when it came to KD and Kyrie, Boston was allowed to do it. But that same year when they got to the finals against the Golden State Warriors, they wasn't allowed to do it to Golden State. They wasn't allowed to corral Curry like they were Kyrie and KD, right? So I just keep an eye on it. The games that the Rockets will win this series, if they win any, but I'm thinking they might get a couple of games. I think they get 2 games. It won't go 7, but 6 I can see, right? But the games that they will win, you will see that they're able to play a more physical game on Steph Curry, because that's what changes the game. If they allow physicality on Steph, things will look a little bit different for Golden State. If they don't allow it on Steph, but they allow it for the big men in the paint for the Rockets, then things will look different for the Rockets, right? So just keep an eye on the physicality, which way the pendulum swings, which way the whistle blows, on whether they're letting Steph get pushed around or they letting the Rockets players get grabbed and pulled in the paint, right? So Lots of turnovers. That was a big thing. But the offensive rebounds was huge, and I think that's what the advantage is for the Rockets. They just got to figure out how to take advantage of all the offensive rebounds they're going to be getting. Because they can dominate if they can figure out how to play through not getting the whistle when they get grabbed. They got to figure that out. But Steve Kerr was speaking on that. I'm gonna play for you John Wall and Danny Green in the post game, and then after that you'll hear Steve Kerr speaking about what I just said.
Now, if we also look deep inside of the box score, we see where Houston had a distinct advantage, and that's when they went to the jumbo lineup. You look at Steven Adams off the bench, 12 rebounds, 6 points in just 20 minutes, but his impact felt even bigger than that. Yeah. You look at the second chance points plus 10, points in the paint plus 20. You go, Houston has a distinct advantage in the front court with those guys.
Yeah, I think with Steven Adams coming in, you got Sagoon down there. They out-rebounding them by 16. I mean, Golden State starts Draymond Green at the 5, and then they put Jimmy Butler at the 4. So they already know they're in a disadvantage. But those guys do a great job of their whole team and their guards going to help rebound. And those guys are great position situations. So, yeah, I think they got to do a better job of that. But, yes, Houston has an advantage in that aspect, but I don't think that helps them on the offense.
They got to maximize it. They got to maximize it and take advantage of it. You look at the stat sheet, you see a team that out-rebounded by 16 and had 11 more shots. You would think they should win the game. But they didn't. They missed a lot of bunnies and missed a lot of free throws.
If it's a half-court game, I really think our defense can get the job done in this series. But so we can't be, turning it over. We can't give up, a million offensive boards, but they're going to get some for sure.
I was going to kind of ask you about that. I'd say the times you were most upset tonight seemed to be on the.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Times you were most upset tonight seemed to be on a few of those kind of sillier turnovers. I mean, is that kind of what you are hammering in this series?
Yeah.
That is, if it's a clean game, you guys have the advantage.
Yeah, it's they're the best team in the league in the possession game. They got 11 more shots than we did tonight as a result of all those offensive boards. Now we're going to turn them over too, and our defense is excellent. I mean, we just held a hell of a team to 85 points on their home floor. So our defense is big time, and we're going to count on that. But we've got to recognize that we don't need to take chances in this series. We need to be clean with our execution and transition. We don't need to dribble through traffic. We don't need to throw lob passes, to try to get a dunk. We've got to be rock solid. And if we're smart and tough, then I think we're going to be in good shape.
See, that's odd to me that he's that confident in his team's defense, knowing he's purposely putting a lineup out there that's going to be outmatched and overpowered in the paint and on the boards for the rebounds, right? I know Draymond Green is a great defender. I know Jimmy Butler is a great defender, but they're undersized. They can't guard Sengun one-on-one. He's that confident that he's been in the playoffs so long with this team that he knows. It's the same thing with LeBron. Same thing with Jokic too, right? They know that when you have a marquee player, a superstar, that the NBA is marketing, and then you play for a franchise that brings a lot of attention to the NBA, and it's bringing in a lot of revenue, a lot of money. That players selling jerseys. It's in the NBA's best interest to have them on TV as much as possible, especially in the playoffs. So they know the business of basketball. Then they know what playoff basketball is all about. So they know that they're going to get away with some things. And a young Rockets team, somebody like Jalen Green, who this is his second time being in the playoffs. He might not know about this physicality, how they're going to allow certain things to go, how certain things that are supposed to be fouls are not going to be called fouls. But then again, it wouldn't be a huge problem if it was 100% equal the way they was doing it. But it's not really equal when my advantage is my big man, and that's the physicality that you allow. Right. So if my advantage is Steven Adams, Sengun, and Jabari Smith in the paint, And the way you're calling the game is allowing maximum physicality on big men in the paint. Not only physicality, but hand grabs and pulls. You're allowing that as well. My big man can't even get off more than one dribble without being swiped all on the arm, and you're allowing that. If that's my advantage and you just neutralize my advantage, but the team I'm playing don't have a size advantage, so they don't even go down low. So the fact that we could probably hand grab and have maximum physicality as well don't even come to play because y'all not even trying to utilize that. Now, on the other hand, what y'all are doing is dribble drives. Now, can I have maximum physicality on Steph, which is their advantage? The answer tonight was no. There was a couple of plays where they got physical with Steph, and that whistle came, and you don't have to call it every 4 quarters, but you call it enough just to let them know we're not allowing that, and now the person has to adjust, right? So if I'm guarding Steph and I'm getting physical with him on the dribble, and I get that foul, now I know what the refs are calling. Okay, y'all calling it. That's too much. Okay, so I take a little bit off, right? If I get called for it again, now I got 2 fouls. Now I really got to take my hands off the merchandise, right? And that's what I'm saying. Yeah, we're not going to allow you to do stuff like that all 4 quarters. We might allow it a couple of times, but for the most part, we're going to protect him on his dribble. So his dribble drive was a lot cleaner than what was going on with the big man of the Rockets. Sorry. So I mean, I think Steve Kerr knows that. He knows he's going to have have favor or have the leeway to get away with a lot on the defensive end. Plus, he got 2 great defenders on the team. He's confident that he can go out there with an undersized squad and compete in the paint. I think that's amazing. I mean, I just find that very odd and interesting. But those are my thoughts about the Houston game. Should be a good series. I picked Golden State for this series for obvious reasons. Not that they are clear cut the better team. They are the more experienced team for sure. So they got that advantage. But everything I just said is the reason why I picked Golden State. Yeah, I said before, I don't think the Rockets stand a chance. Not because they don't stand a chance in real life, but because they don't stand a chance in NBA reality. Before we get to the other games, though, I did want to give y'all my power rankings, right? So the end of the season is obviously here because we're talking about the playoffs, man. But here's my power rankings. I started doing these the first week of the season, and I think I stopped around week 4, week 5. But OKC has been my number one for a long time. Even when Cleveland had the number 1 record in the league for so long, I still had OKC above them, right? Then I think Cleveland beat OKC early, and I may have dropped OKC down after that. But after a while, I brought them back to number 1. This is the best team I've seen this season. I love the way they operate. I love the way they play both sides of the ball. I love their superstar. I'm not so much in love with their co-star, whether it's Chet or Jalen Williams. I like both of them, but as a co-star that's battle tested that I can trust in the playoffs, I haven't seen that yet. So that will be my only weak spot for them. I even like the coaching. I like everything about this team. They're complete. You can say they're deep. So they're my number 1. They're my Boston Celtics West, right? And then number 2, of course, I got the Boston Celtics, right? I think OKC and Boston Celtics is pretty much the same squad. And they're my pick to make it to the finals. And that's actually the finals matchup I want to see. I think they're very similar. I think Chet and Porzingis are pretty similar guys. I think Lou Dort and Drew Holiday are similar guys. I think Tatum and SGA are similar guys. I think Jaylen Brown and Jalen Williams are similar guys. I think Hartenstein and Al Horford are similar. Then they got their shooters coming off the bench with Pritchard and but what's my number 30? I forgot his name. They got him come off the bench as shooters, and they got Wiggins and Kaysen and other shooters coming off the bench for OKC. Very even. They got 3-point shooting. They got defense. They got big man. They got wing defenders. They got the superstar. They got co-star. They got shot blocking. Man, that'll be a freaking matchup to see if that's what we get OKC and Boston in the finals. I would love that 100%. Cleveland, another complete team on both ends of the floor. I like the superstar of SGA and Tatum better than I like the superstar of Spider Mitchell. But Spider Mitchell is definitely a superstar, but right there on the fringe of just being an all-star. You know, he's definitely an all-star. Superstar can be questioned. But he's playing like a superstar this year. He got his team the second best record in the league and number 3 on my power rankings. And my 4 and 5, these two teams just moved up as of recently. And that is Minnesota Timberwolves and the Golden State Warriors. 2 more teams that do it on both ends of the floor. They don't have everything though, right? They Golden State don't. They only have a big man. Golden State don't have a big man. They now have a co-star in Jimmy Butler, so at least they got a superstar and a co-star with good role players, good coaching, experience, veteran leadership. They got all that defense. But as far as rebounding they rebound pretty good. But as far as size, shot blocking and all that stuff, they just don't have it. And I don't like their depth either. But they did. I mean, they're number 5. They playing well, you know. So I guess they got that 6 man helping them out. So they're number 5. They're number 5. I like the size of Minnesota. I like the shot blocking of Rudy Gobert. I like the toughness of Randall. I like the superstar stardom of Edwards. Co-star, is it Randall? Is it McDaniel? Who knows? Veteran leadership, Mike Conley. They're complete. They do it on both ends. They rebound. They can score. I mean, they can hit the 3. Not as good as Boston, OKC, and Cleveland though, right? But those are my top 5 squads. Then I want to remind you what my criteria is for MVP. I need to see offensive value at a high level, defensive value at a high level, and that needs to equate to team success. And the person or the candidate who embodies all 3 of those things the most gets more consideration for MVP, in my opinion. And the Kia ladder just came out, and they had the finalists for MVP is SGA, Jokic, and Giannis in that order. I had it similar, but not. I didn't have Giannis that high. He's 5 for me, right? I just don't. Yeah, I can't have you over Spider, Tatum, Jokic, and SGA, who have way more team success than you do. But your offensive value and defensive value is definitely there. It just didn't equate to as much team success as these other candidates. There is an argument that you could be at number 4, Giannis, over Spider Mitchell. But I just didn't have you there. So, but SGA, Nikola Jokic, and Tatum are my top 3. That would have been my final list. I would have gave more votes to Tatum than I gave to Giannis, for sure. But number 1 is SGA. He's been number 1 pretty much since the beginning of the season. And I think he's going to win the MVP. Then finally, I wanted to get into my top 15 players in the postseason. SGA is the number 1 player in the postseason for me. Tatum and Edwards, as you can see, my top 3 guys are complete players who do it on both ends of the floor, who also has led their team to wins in their first game in the playoffs. Then if you look at the 3 after them, so my top 5 are all number 1 options. As a matter of fact, 6, 7, my top 7 are all number 1 options who led their team to wins in this first game of the playoffs. then after that, I get into number 2 options and players who perform well, but team lost. Minus Butler and Jaylen Brown down at the bottom, but they're number 2 options, right? Ben Carroll, if y'all didn't watch him play against Boston, man, that too was the whole squad. He was the whole team. Double-digit rebounds. I think he almost had 40 points. He was hitting the mid-range. He was getting to the hole. He was posting up. He was hitting threes. He was phenomenal. Phenomenal, man. I wish he wouldn't have got hurt at the beginning of the season, man, because he was on a tear. And I think Orlando probably would have had a better season and won more games, and they probably would have had a better seed in the playoffs. For them to still get the number 7 seed and get in there was impressive. It was impressive. But that's my top 15. But let's get into this Denver Nuggets game. And yeah, so let's get into this Denver Nuggets game. All right. They got a 2-point win over the Clippers. Did they go into overtime? I think they did go into overtime. The Clippers gave that game away. Right. Let me see if I can pull this game up. They did go into overtime for sure. So the Clippers gave that game away. They controlled the game. They had the lead pretty much the whole game. Probably 40 minutes of the 48 minutes. They had the lead in regulation, and they gave it away. They turned the ball over. They didn't execute down the stretch. They gave up some wide open threes. One of them to Westbrook, which was a backbreaker. And they just didn't handle the physicality that Denver came out with. They called a timeout. Clippers went on a run. Looked like it was about to pull away. And Denver called the timeout. And they came out, and you could physically see them ramp up their physicality. And from the time that they started doing that, the Clippers they still had the lead, but they never looked like they were getting easy baskets. It looked like Denver was getting easy shots. It looked like the Clippers were struggling for everything they got. Right. It's a lot of things I've seen in that game as well. I'll let Jokic talk about some things. I'm gonna play for you some post game questions that he fielded. But before that, let me just get into some of the things I seen on paper and then some of the things I seen watching the game. All right. So you get 32 from Harden, and you get 22 from Kawhi Leonard and 21 from Zubac. You can't ask for more than that. They had 5 guys in double figures. That guy showed up. They just showed up early. They struggled a little bit late. They had 20 turnovers. They only forced 11 turnovers on Denver. They had 20 turnovers themselves. Not a good thing, right? James Harden got into a little bit of foul trouble, so he started going to the bench off and on. And when he went to the bench, they wasn't handling the ball too well. You know, they was getting a lot of pressure, and whoever was trying to handle the ball wasn't doing a good enough job. So you had that thing. But James Harden had some of those turnovers too. I mean, it was a big one that Jokic took coast to coast for a layup. You know, he was trying to, throw a pocket pass off a screen to Zubac, and Jokic was right there. It was like, I know that's where you're trying to go with it. So they got to clean that up, because everything that Harden was doing with Zubac off the screens was working first quarter, and some of the second quarter, and all of a sudden it wasn't working no more. So he would come off the screens, but he would always come off the screen wide, and the double will come there, and he had to get the ball up, and the rotation was already there. So it was like trying to force that pass to Zubac, was a little difficult, so it was causing problems. They just wasn't getting clean possessions, right? And I'm like, dang, like attack. I would rather you attack Jokic off that screen and roll instead of taking it wide, right? So anyway, there's a lot of things that was even. 25 assists for Clippers. They got the edge by 1 over the Nuggets. Nuggets had 24. 44 rebounds. They lost the edge by 1 to the Nuggets. They had 45 rebounds. offensive rebounds 11 to 12. Then you got the steals and that was a big piece of it, and the 20 turnovers, that was a big piece of it, right? Another thing I seen, they kept calling Zubac the best defender of Jokic over the last 5 years. Whatever analytics or numbers they're using, Zubac guards Jokic better than any other center in the league, even Joel Embiid. What that tells me is a couple of things. One, they're matched up size-wise, kind of even. Zubac's a big guy too. He's wide. They got about the same amount of athleticism. Zubac's long, probably got a longer wingspan than Jokic. And he's capable, and he puts in effort on the defense, right? And so he don't shy away from it. You can go look at some of those post-ups. It was phenomenal to watch them go at it, and they was letting him guard Jokic without the double coming. I thought that was phenomenal. So Zubac's going to be very key in this series. You want to watch how he picks up fouls or not pick up fouls. That'll tell you a lot about the game. He got a couple of cheap ones from Jokic flopping. Jokic was trying to do a lot of veteran tricks early. He went in the post with Zubac, and I think he did a quick spin move and went baseline, and then he hooked Zubac's arm and was pulling him with him, and then tried to get an and one off of it, but the ref did a no call, and I think his foot stepped out of bounds, and they called out of bounds. He was angry with the referee because that's a veteran move that he usually gets. Like, how didn't you fall for this hook, right? Why I'm hooking him? I'm doing a great job of hooking him, and I'm Jokic. I'm supposed to get the benefit of the doubt. How the hell are you doing a no call on it? In my opinion, it should have been a foul on Jokic. But I don't know if he was ignoring it like he didn't see it, because I know he's seen it. It was quite obvious. It had to be a foul on somebody. If Zubac wasn't holding him, then he's getting hooked because they was tangled up while he was dribbling, right? But Zubac just had his hands like this and was moving with him. And, he didn't give up on the play even though he was getting hooked. He was like, "I'm gonna move with him, but I'm gonna do this to let you know that I'm not grabbing him." Right. But it was a good no call. It would have been better if they called the offensive foul, but of course that the NBA is not in the business of putting fouls on players that the fans want to see on the floor. Right. They're just not in the business of doing that. A star player has to do a lot to pick them fouls up, especially a guy like Jokic. So what happened? The immediate play after that, Jokic pissed off he didn't get that call. Goes down the court. Zubac is in the at the top of the key, kind of in the high post position. He's probably even go catch it right there and probably do a dribble handoff, or he was gonna set a screen up there. But while the ball was getting brought up by the point guard, Jokic started arm wrestling with Zubac again, and Zubac's trying to get his arm away from him, and then Jokic grabs his arm and flops backwards and pulls Zubac's arm with him, so it looks like Zubac pushed him off. Goes to the ground. Immediately, they called a foul. He finally got him. But he had tried flopping 3 or 4 times before that without getting called. He was getting frustrated. So I think the rest was like, we got to call it because the optics of it was looking bad. We're making Jokic look bad. All this flopping he's doing, we got to give him this one. I think the reputation of Jokic got him that call. It was not an offensive foul, right? So those are how that's how Zubac was picking fouls up, and you got to keep an eye on that moving forward in this series on him picking up fouls, because once he pick up a foul, there's no big man that can guard Jokic. When Zubac went to the bench, they tried to guard Jokic with Nicholas Batum. That was disastrous. They tried with Ben Simmons. That was disastrous. There's nobody. The Clipper, Ty Lue, I just don't. Well, they got Eubanks on the bench, but he don't get in the game, and he's not big enough for Jokic either. But these guys missed everybody who's in the West that's got to play Jokic in the playoffs missed the opportunity. Dwight Howard has been begging people to sign him just for defense, and nobody's going to go get him. Like, You don't lose anything. I mean, you went and got Westbrook last year. Why not go get your Dwight Howard this year? You need him for Jokic. I would sign Dwight Howard in a heartbeat just for Jokic. Right. So they missed the opportunity because they don't have nobody other than Zubac. Zubac getting foul trouble. The game is I mean, you gotta be super hot from 3 or something, and Kawhi Leonard got to be on a heater as well as Harden for them to be able to sustain that without Zubac on the floor, because Jokic is gonna tear you up. He's too good. You got to have somebody that he can guard. But let's listen to Jokic talk about his teammates, because I think that's important, because so many people keep saying Jokic don't have teammates, and he's never had an all-star, so that means he needs more help, and he needs also all-star help, and these guys not good, and all this stuff. And what I like about Jokic is he never says that, right? He never talks about his teammates in a negative way. That's what I like about Jokic. So they asked him about Aaron Gordon. They asked him about Russell Westbrook. And he said things that I think people should hear.
What aspects of Aaron Gordon's game fly under the radar?
I mean, I think I don't want to say aspect, but the sacrifice what he's like he's guarding the best player in their team. Probably he's switching it, and then he's fighting with it. Sometimes he's guarding a 5, so he basically guard 1 through 5, and sacrifice that he's putting in, and he's not making a big scene of it. He's just doing his job.
So what do you think about Aaron Gordon and basically what he brings to the team? He said he's pretty much guarding the best player every night. And I mentioned that before. I remember I don't know if it was the playoff run they had when they actually won the ring, but they had to go through probably Anthony. Let me see who they went through the year, but I'm guessing right now, but I'm gonna look it up. But they had to go through Ant Edwards, and I think Gordon guarded Anthony Edwards in that series phenomenally well. Then they had to go through KD and Phoenix, and he guarded KD in that series very well. Then they had to go through LeBron and Lakers, and he guarded LeBron in that series very well, all the way to the finals. And then they won it, right? And he probably guarded Jimmy Butler in the finals. I just can't remember, but it was phenomenal. And Jokic is saying he guards the best player. That's the game plan for them. The best player, I seen him guarding Steph late this season, right? So they will put him on anyone. And he said he pretty much guards 1 through 5, which is crazy because Jokic is a 5. Did y'all hear that, Jokic fanboys? Aaron Gordon guards the best player every night. He pretty much guards 1 through 5. And Jokic is a 5. So some nights they're counting on Jokic, or they're counting on Aaron Gordon to guard players that Jokic should be guarding. He's guarding 1 through 5. I've seen him guard Steph. I've seen him guard LeBron. I've seen him guard Giannis. I've seen him guard KD. I've seen him guard Butler. I've seen him guard Anthony Edwards. Who are they playing right now? I'm pretty sure he's guarding Kawhi and taking his shots at James Harden at the same time. That's phenomenal. That's the same thing that people give top 50 player of all time credits to Scottie Pippen for. He's guarded Stockton. He's guarded Magic. He's guarded Penny. He's guarded Dennis Rodman. He's guarded a lot of positions as well, a lot of players. Right. So Gordon's doing a phenomenal job. And Jokic is recognizing that.
Joker, what did you make of Russell Westbrook tonight? Just offensive rebounding, defensively. You obviously trusted him with that pass over to the 3 at the end of the game.
I mean, for us, open man wins, and I think it was a general. We missed a lot of easy layups, but he made a big 3. He was really good in transition for us. He was aggressive. He had a couple offensive rebounds too. I think the big one. So. He had a big steal on the end, so that's who he is.
Okay.
kind of piggybacking off of that one, just how big is it for his confidence just going into the rest of the series?
His confidence? Yeah. I think he has the biggest confidence probably in this matchup, whatever it is.
One more on Russ. He said he knew the Clippers' final play when they inbounded it and he tipped it off Harden. How much do you just appreciate another guy who can kind of diagnose an opponent's play like that?
Yeah, I mean, he was there. He knows, he knows. Then he played with James for a lot of years. So, he did it. But I think he was doing it for a long period of time.
Shout out to Russell Westbrook, right? They left him wide open for a 3 in the corner. He knocked it down, gave him a 1-point lead. Like the game plan was, someone other than Jokic has got to beat us, and we're going to give up the corner 3 to Westbrook. We're going to dare him to shoot it, and he knocked it down. Huge shot. 3, maybe 4 huge offensive rebounds late down the stretch to keep the play alive for Denver, and most of those turned into points. That was huge. Then the huge play on defense to get the steal on the inbounds play to James Harden. He played for the Clippers last year. Russell Westbrook said he knew what play they was running to get the ball inbounds to Harden at the top of the key. And he guessed right. And almost got a steal, but got the ball knocked out off of James Harden's hand, which was a turnover. Huge play. Jamal Murray, huge defensive play on Kawhi Leonard in the corner. He did the same thing, knocked the ball out of his hand and made it go off of Kawhi Leonard out of bounds. Huge defensive plays down the stretch. Everyone played phenomenal. Michael Porter Jr. probably wasn't playing his best game, but defensively, Gordon, Westbrook showed up. Westbrook showed up with the hustle, hit some big shots, got some rebounds. Jamal Murray played pretty good as well. I just don't see this storyline that Jokic don't have help. 25 points from Aaron Gordon. I mean, that's phenomenal, right? 25 points. Jamal Murray, 21 points. Right. You got three guys scored more than 20 points. Jokic 29. So you got 3 guys scored more than 20 points. You got 2 other guys in double figures, and Brown with 11 and Westbrook with 15. 15 points, 8 rebounds by Westbrook. Come on, man. What's this narrative that Jokic don't have no help? I think that's insane. But let's hear from the Clippers side and what they need to do better next game to try to tie this up at 1-1.
To be the James, you guys had the 20 turnovers. How much was that with just
that's the game.
That's the game right there.
That's the game right there. Nothing else. It's the game.
And going forward now, so the idea is take better care of the ball. And what else do you guys need to do to execute to get it, try to get a win?
It was turnovers that was just unforced. It's the game right there. It's nothing they did. It's us, all us.
We got to start with the turnovers. Obviously, you've never had a game with more in the playoffs. It was like when you think about how those turnovers happen, like how can you feel like you can be better with that going forward?
You just got to be decisive, get more in attack mode situations, and that's it really. A lot of the turnovers we caused, that's all you could do.
Son, right in front of the bench when Jamal was guarding you, and I guess you were trying to size him up, and it wound up being a challenge and a turnover.
He hit the ball and it hit off me and it went out.
Overtime, trying to get a win here, having a 15-point lead, 20 turnovers. What did you tell the guys after it was over?
We're in good shape. We just got to do what we're supposed to do. And we talked about we can't turn the ball over 20 times, expect to beat a good team. And so 20 turnovers for 29 points. It's hard to beat a good team, when you turn the ball over that many times. But we saw some things. We did some things right, some things we could have did better, which we know. And so We just got to be better with our execution. I think defensively understanding what we're doing, and then offensively understanding how we want to attack them. And so I thought we did a good job in the first half, and then in the second half we got away from the attack mindset of getting to the paint, getting to the basket.
Well, there you go. 20 turnovers. That was the ball game. They all agree. So let's see if they can take care of the ball next game, and let's see if they can tie this series up. Let's get into this Lakers matchup of this daggone freaking blowout, 117-95 blowout. The Minnesota Timberwolves did to the Lakers, and the Hall of Famer, the top 50 player of all time, James Worthy, was. He totally destroyed the Lakers. They got destroyed by the T-Wolves, and then they got destroyed by one of their very own. Let's hear what he said.
Not the way you want to start the postseason if you're the Lakers. Minnesota came in and took game one, winning by 22, 117-95. Look, a lot of excitement for LA coming into this one. They led by 7 after 1, but really after that second quarter started with a 10-2 Minnesota run, turned into a 38-20 second quarter. They never really looked back. How about this stat? Despite a 17-6 run to close out the third by LA, Minnesota won those second and third quarters 73-50. Big game. The momentum really changed in that second quarter for Minnesota. And look, it is just one game. Fortunately, it's a best of 7 series, but this is disappointing to say the least to start.
Yeah, it's you can say it's only one game, but it's one game that Minnesota made a hell of a statement, and it set the tone. And this one game has given Minnesota a lot of confidence. Their team is well balanced. I thought Jaden tonight for them was exceptional. A 6'8" guy that plays with a 7-foot wingspan. Defense was exceptional on Luka and whoever he was on. He got 25 points. Mm-hmm. They took 41 threes tonight, and they hit a lot of them. They hit a lot of them uncontested. They're a really good defensive team. This team scared me when the Lakers drew them. You have to play your best games, or at least put forth your best efforts. You can't turn the ball over. You can't have defensive, inconsistencies. So many uncontested threes, helping and leaving threes open. JJ's going to have a lot to turn this around, because Minnesota's they sniff it. Mm-hmm. They know that they're a good team. Gobert stayed in the game, protected the paint. So, yeah, and they really did a good job of attacking Reeves. They knew that one of those 3 had to be contained, so they went at Reeves a lot, mismatch. And with the size of Naz Reid and Jaden, those guys are 6'8", 6'9". They're tough. So when you throw Edwards in there, and they're going to be tough to deal with when you give them that one game at home. Now they have home court advantage. So yeah, JJ's going to have his work cut out to how he can turn this around. We needed that week off, to get rest. But sometimes that week off can, soften you up a little bit. And the Lakers playing at home in a playoff game just could not match the intensity and the strength and the grind that Minnesota was bringing, from that middle of that first quarter throughout the rest of the game. They just could not match it.
They didn't match, right? That's what JJ Redick said. He said they didn't match the intensity. They didn't know it was a playoff game. That's his subtle way of trying to take a jab at their physicality or them taking it to the Minnesota Wolves after the Minnesota Timberwolves took it to them, right? But I saw a whole bunch of different things, right? And James Worthy made a bunch of good points, man. They gave up a lot of open threes. I think Naz Reid hit 6 of them. Jaden Daniels hit 3 of them. He only missed 2 shots. Edwards hit 4 of them. It was threes just flying, right? Phenomenal game for those guys. The game, it looked pretty, man. It was 50% from behind the arc. They can't continue to do that, right? But there's other things though, right? They had 29 assists. That's not bad. I think anything above, 25 to 30 assists is really good for a team, for team assists. The Lakers only had 15. So I don't know if they got locked into playing a lot of one-on-one basketball, because Luka gets a lot of points with one-on-one. So does Austin Reeves. And Luka had 37. So I mean, he was probably taking it upon himself to call his own number, right? So 15 assists is not nearly enough for a team. The Lakers got out rebounded. They did get more offensive rebounds, but other than that, they was out rebounded. And they only turned Minnesota over 10 times, but the Lakers only had 13 turnovers, so it's not that horrible. 13 turnovers, I can live with that. 10 is better, right? So those are some things that you want to look out for the next game. But this is the key thing for me. And I don't understand how you get blown out. That well, somebody shooting 50% from 3 get you blown out, but I don't like the way. I mean, when you look at the free throws, the Lakers only shot 16 free throws. There was 14 for 16. The T-Wolves shot 10. So you don't look at the free throw disparity and see like a huge concern. But when you look at the fouls, you do see some inconsistency, right? I see Luka had 3 fouls. I see Austin Reeves had 3 fouls. That's 6. The Lakers only had 10 fouls the whole team. That's too. That's less than 3 fouls a quarter. That's less than 3 fouls a quarter. Right? You had Luka with 3, and you got Reeves with 3, which is understandable because those are the 2 guys that are getting picked on the most in the screens, in the rolls, and the switches. I want Luka one-on-one. I want Reeves one-on-one, and they take them. So it makes sense that Luka and Reeves picked up fouls. But LeBron had to guard Randall a lot in the paint, and Randall is not a cupcake in the paint. He brings the physicality to you in the paint. And LeBron had 0 fouls. He didn't foul not one time. Another starter for the Lakers, Rui Hachimura, had 0 fouls. Jackson Hayes had 0 fouls. Vanderbilt, a defender that played 13 minutes, and he mucks it up. He got tangled up with somebody. He got tangled up with Randall in the game. Like literally tangled him up, trying to muck it up. This was after they already down double digits, and they had to figure out something. So they started trying to play agitator. He didn't even get a foul when he was doing that. Vanderbilt did not. He plays with physicality. He wants to give up his foul. He got 6 fouls. He wants to give them up. He got 0 fouls. So what that's telling me is either the Lakers wasn't playing any physical defense or the rest wasn't calling them for anything, right? But on the other hand, when you look at Minnesota, mind you, I just named you Vanderbilt 0 fouls, LeBron 0 fouls, Rui 0 fouls, Jackson Hayes 0 fouls. All of those were starters except Vanderbilt, and they all played significant minutes, 0 fouls. But when I look at the Minnesota T-Wolves, 3 fouls for McDaniels, 4 fouls for Julius Randle, 3 fouls for Rudy Gobert, right? They're getting fouled, but just those names that I named is already above. And then you look at Anthony Edwards. He had 4 fouls. He went out in the third quarter and missed about, I don't know, 6-7 minutes of the game, 8 minutes of the game, right? He probably missed about 7 minutes of the game, and he still had 4 fouls. So if he would have still been in the game, he probably would end up with 5 or probably fouled out. I mean, like these guys are picking up fouls. Just between, I just told you they had 10 fouls for the whole game the Lakers did. I can just grab 3 guys and it's more than 10. Edwards had 4, Randall had 4, that's 8. And then Gobert had 3, that's 11. So 3 guys had more fouls than the entire Lakers team. So the message that the referees was trying to send to Minnesota is that don't guard the Lakers too tough. Ease off a little bit, right? We're calling it. And a smart team, and this is why the Rockets inexperience got them in trouble with the Warriors, because what you're supposed to do in that situation when they're calling you or they're whistling you in a way defensively that lets you let up a little bit. Now you just gave that other team or that other player that you're letting up on a green light to just get a knockout punch on you. I mean, they're going to shoot the lights out, right? What you're supposed to do is never let up. Don't be afraid to foul out. Don't change how you play, right? You're going to have to make that referee call you for 3 straight fouls by just playing defense. You just call me for 3 straight. Because what you're not going to do is call me for 1 and then make me let up on this guy so he can drop 5 straight buckets on me. No, I'm never going to let up. You're just going to have to foul me out in 5 minutes so the whole world can see it. Then you're going to have to foul out my backup in 5 minutes, because we're not letting up. And that's what Minnesota did. We're not changing how we play defense. You can whistle us for whatever you want to whistle. We learned this against Luka. We learned this against the teams we played previously, because this is not Edwards' first playoff game, right? But when he was a young buck in his first playoff game, he didn't understand it either. He didn't understand it, how that whistle was going to go. Now they understand the assignment. They're not going to let up, right? We're not going to help the refs help this team beat us, right? You're going to have to make this cheating obvious, right? So watch the fouls in this series. I do believe that the NBA and the ref and the head officials will sit down and watch film and come back with a better game plan for next game. And I do think the Lakers will win this game convincingly in LA and tie this series up at 1-1. I 100% expect that, right? But for all the teams I didn't mention, of course, the Knicks got a win against the Pistons. The Pistons controlled their game pretty much most of the game, and they gave up a horrible fourth quarter. The Knicks came in and dropped 40 points on them in the fourth quarter. That's a 40-21 fourth quarter for the Knicks over the Pistons. They just gave that game up, and the Bucks got blew out by the Pacers. Dame Lillard will be back in game 2. That's going to be interesting to watch, because Dame Lillard and Tyrese Halliburton got into a little dust up on the sideline, a little bit of trash talking. So Dame Lillard said, "I'm going to bust your tail," right? So I want to see if he go pull it off. He said he go bust him up. That matchup is going to be very interesting. And Cleveland, playing a 10th seed, right? Because we're not going to call these play-in teams that came in from the 10th seed. I'm not going to call them an 8th seed, right? Miami is a 10th seed, and they're playing the number 1 seed. The team that was the best team in record-wise, the best team in the league mostly the season, playing a number 10 seed that should not be in the playoffs. That was ugly. 21-point win. Celtics took care of the Magic with no problem. And the Thunder also playing a 10th seed. And Shea Gilgeous didn't need but 15 points to get rid of this team and beat them by 50. That is disgusting. But Ja Morant is getting the treatment that Kyrie Irving and KD got when they got humiliated in a sweep fashion by Boston the same year that Kyrie Irving sat out. Was it COVID or was it the tweet? I think it was COVID. It was the COVID year. And when Kyrie came back from the COVID year, he pretty much gave the commissioner and the NBA the middle finger and was like, "I'm not getting this vax. I'm not getting this vax." So when he came back and was playing with Brooklyn and they trying to make their playoff run, I think the league sent the message and was like, "You can't give me the middle finger and think you about to come out here and ball out and represent in the playoffs and go anywhere." So they allowed a certain physicality against Brooklyn, and Boston swept them. Embarrassing, right? I think that's going on with Ja right now. Ja Morant, once again, after he got in all the trouble with the showing the handgun on IG and all that stuff, and he went through what he went through in his suspension, just to come back and start doing gun gestures again when he hit threes. And the middle finger came in when the league find him, letting him know we don't like that, right? Your image already took a hit with guns. Can you not be the one that's doing this? So he gave him the middle finger by saying, you know what, I stopped doing the guns, but I'm gonna start throwing hand grenades instead. So yeah, no more guns, but I'm gonna throw a hand grenade next time I hit a three. So he pretty much told Adam Silver, middle finger to you. And Adam Silver is gonna give him the middle finger, and he's gonna allow these boys to get swept. I thought Memphis would get 2 games, but now that I'm thinking about it, gentleman sweep at the best, right? So keep your eye on that series as well. But appreciate y'all for joining me for this recap. Where we do the same thing again after all the game 2s are done. I might even do some post game reactions to some of these games. So look out for me late night. Keep your notification bell on, and make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the share button on this video, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.